Hello, welcome to the second close chronology examination. I recently did one on the pants, and actually I'm recording this just after the premiere of the video, so let's see what our second close chronology examination will be on. The Doors. Alright, that's manageable. I can do that. Welcome back to the close chronology examination. It's the first special in this series, and I'm quite excited for it. How is this special? You will see for sure. Please enjoy, because today I'll tell you about the Doors. Who are the Doors? For the 12 of you who don't know, the Doors are a rock band from Los Angeles, California. LA resident Jim Morrison was attending film school at UCLA with Ray Manzarek. They began hanging out together regularly and creating musical ideas together. Manzarek invited Morrison to join his band, Rick and the Ravens, for which he played piano, which contained his two brothers Rick and Jim Manzarek on guitar and organ respectively, Patty Sullivan on bass, and John Densmore on drums. Jim Morrison, with the agreement from the rest of the band, decided to rename the group to The Doors because of the Aldous Huxley book, The Doors of Perception. Rick and Jim Manzarek left, leaving a group of 5. Ray Manzarek assumed the role of general keyboardist for the band, and Robbie Krieger replaced Jim Manzarek later that year. In 1966, they began a residency at the London Fog Club, where they worked their songs to perfection. Patty Sullivan left the band to focus on her married life, if only she knew, leaving Manzarek to also play bass live on a separate keyboard at the Vox Piano Bass. Elektra Records president Jack Holtzman saw them performing live at the Whiskey A Go-Go twice and decided to sign them to Elektra. And he couldn't have done it soon enough because the Doors were banned from ever playing at the Whiskey A Go-Go ever again because Jim Morrison decided not to sing the normal lyrics of their song The End and decided to instead tell in great detail the Greek myth of Oedipus, with an insane amount of cursing throughout. Bet that'll be the last time he does something like that on stage. Anyway, with enough songs under their belt to make many albums, they selected the best of them and recorded them at Sunset Sound Studios in Hollywood. Who are you?
I am Andrew Lusky, Zared Lusky's father.
Indeed. So why does your opinion on the Doors matter?
I'm not sure it does matter. I'm just somebody who's listened to classic rock for like 40 years, give or take.
What do you think about Jim Morrison?
Wow, that's a good open-ended question. Well, I think he's a cultural icon. I don't know if he still is, but he certainly was in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm. Everyone knows him for that one poster.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And that Rolling Stone magazine cover from the early 80s. I can't remember the exact quote, but something along the lines of, he's hot, he's sexy, he's dead, or something like that. And I don't know, his voice was unique, not necessarily the most impressive singing voice, but he had a certain presence about him, and he had pretensions to poetry and whatnot. Some of it worked in popular music, some of it was kind of iffy, as in what's that Horse Latitudes thing?
Yeah.
So, but he's important. I'll put it that way. He's important in the history of rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think about Rob Krieger?
I don't know. I mean, being a non-musician, I can't really say much, about his technical skills or anything. But I don't know. It was interesting because it's like Ray Manzarek. It always sounds either classical or like a carnival, or sometimes both. And Robbie Krieger, it's kind of like it's either pop or it's blues. So it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition, I guess, for me.
All right. So what do you think about Ray Manzarek?
I don't know. Again, I'm not a musician, but it seems like he is the most important musician in the group. It's kind of like what sets them apart from other bands of the era. He's very, he's definitely skilled. I mean, live he would play the bass lines and also the keyboard parts at the same time. So, and he, you know, I've heard him in interviews. He sounded like a pretty intelligent guy.
Mm-hmm. And of course, what do you think about John Densmore?
Well, I thought his drumming fit the band well. It's kind of a jazzy sort of thing. Some critics didn't like it. They wanted the critics who liked their drummers to rock out harder, I guess, didn't like him. But I think it's fine for what it is. I mean, it fits their music. Just like Stuart Copeland's drumming fits the Police, that kind of thing. I'm not sure he'd really be great in any other band, but you know, certainly fits the Doors.
So, yeah, what was everyone doing in 1967? LSD, like a lot of it. And all members of the Doors had tripped to great extents on acid and other things of the sort. This influence obviously carried over into their music, and this album is the trippiest of theirs by far. The Doors' sound for this record is inspired by soul and blues and psychedelia. My point is, if you hear a Doors song, you'll know it's by them because they have such a unique sound. There's this certain crunch to Ray's organ tone, and Robbie Krieger has a unique style of playing the guitar. He never used a pick because he started playing the guitar on the acoustic. Jim Morrison has a smoky and eerie voice, and something you'll see moving forward is that Jim has a way with words. He's a very poetic individual, and he had some childhood problems, one of them being that he was in his grandparents' car as a little kid, and they were just driving on the road in the desert, and there were a bunch of dead Indians on the road. This experience was mentioned in several of his songs because of how insane of an experience that is. But what about the individual songs? Opener Break On Through showcases the talents of all members and is a great song to start your career with.
Break on through.
Hi. I'm Zared from Zeta's Gaming. I'm here with Jaden from J the Cool GG. And we are going to be reacting to some songs by the Doors that he hasn't heard before, most likely. This is going to be for the Close Chronology Examination number 2, which is on the Doors. So let's just pull up Spotify. Yeah, this is their first album. That one was their last one with Jim Morrison. This is their first album. No, they're American. From California. On this song, Soul Kitchen, 20th Century Fox, I Looked at You, and Take It As It Comes, you can hear the recognizable organ tone of Ray Manzarek. He does a great job soloing. His piano work on the Crystal Ship shows his versatility, even on their cover of Alabama Song with the hammer instruments. Shout out to the unsettling slide guitar on End of the Night. Light My Fire is the biggest single from this album, and for a good reason. It's a good song. The extended solos make this song last well over 7 minutes, and Elektra made a drastic single cut that cut out both the organ and guitar solos. Apparently Ray was upset about this, but over the years I have heard radio stations play the full version, particularly 97 LEV. Love you guys. Six with Jim Morrison and 3 after he died. No. Yeah. Yeah. It is it's like 3 minutes long. He does a good job. It's definitely more of like a keyboard band, especially with him on this fancy box coming in a lot. starting point right before it. Yeah. Nice ending with the drums. Yeah, that's a good song.
I'm Ray Manzarek. What's your name?
Jim Morrison, light my fire.
Wait a minute, what'd you just say? That could be a song that's tolerated for generations.
I want to take this opportunity to shine some light on the controversial drumming triplet subdivision at the end of both solos that John Densmore does. I love triplets. Their cover of Backdoor Man has a very funny line in it.
It's all pork and beans. I eat more chicken than any man ever seen. Yeah.
And Closer the End is an 11-minute long song that takes inspiration from Indian classical music and gives what I can only assume are directions for those who are tripping on acid. Also, the song features a plot twist in the story presented throughout that you will not see coming if you haven't heard it before. And there is a place where the record label deemed the words uttered too obscene, so you will need to fill in the words yourself. The song explodes before the final verse. The song is like the perfect album closer. This album was released on January 4th, 1967 to rave reviews from critics and mass support by new and old fans. This is a perfect debut album in general. It takes what's great about the band, distills it down to the molecular level, and only samples the best. The usual problems of debut albums like Growing Pains not having a sound aren't present. And this is probably my second favorite debut album right behind Weezer's Blue album. Break On Through was released as a single, so was Light My Fire, which became the first song released by Elektra Records to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it sold 1 million copies. The band hit the road for a US tour with dates in California and New York. One of these New York dates was a performance on The Ed Sullivan Show, where the people at the network asked if he could change the word higher to better because drugs bad. Here's what he sang.
I would be alive if I was to say to you, girl, we couldn't get much higher.
After the one-song performance, the show's producer told them they would never play on The Ed Sullivan Show again. Jim said, "We just did," and walked off. I'd like to take this opportunity to announce a thing I have planned for this video, which is, at the point in the video where the Doors song The End will end, I'm going to show a title on screen that says, "This is where the end ends." And I'm going to do that for other bands who have long songs. Now begins the bulk of the interview, where I will talk about the individual albums. So, have you heard The Doors?
Yes, pretty much every day of my life, probably since 1979, I would imagine.
I mean the album.
Oh, the album. I thought you meant the band. Have I heard The Doors, the first album? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So my favorite song on the album is Light My Fire. So what's yours?
Well, you know what? I should get my phone out so I can look at the list of songs. Light My Fire.
Or I just...
It's always one of those best song versus favorite song.
Mm-hmm.
The best song is Light My Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably also my favorite, but you know, the ones out here on the radio. And I don't know, I'm kind of partial towards the Alabama song because it's just such a weird song. And they didn't write it.
Is that the one with the fried chicken thing?
No.
Which
No,
one's
I
the
think
one?
that's
That's Backdoor Man. That's the one with the fried
Eat
chicken.
Your Chicken. Yeah, that one.
Eat your pork and beans.
Right. No, Alabama song is the one that, you know, sounds like, you know, Misery by Green Day. That kind of thing.
Yes.
That's because it's a song from a musical, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah, that's probably my favorite, I guess. But, you know, Light My Fire is definitely the better song.
Yeah. And so what do you think about The Doors as an album?
Well, I'd say it's a great debut. I mean, it's consistently good all the way through. It's got some catchy songs. It's got some a little more, I don't know, like the end. You know, that's not necessarily super catchy, but you know, it tells the listener what they're all about, and you know, kind of like says, well, here we are, and if you like us, great. If you don't, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's one of the better debuts.
The The Doors, at their own will, decided that they would record another album that same year, as Jim had plenty of other songs he had written. And they did. After a few shows around the East Coast area, they went back into the studio to record their second album. The songs on this one were largely written at the same time as the ones on their self-titled album, so this means they have just as good of a quality as the songs on it, while being very different. The title track is right away different, as they are playing with sound filtering and effects on all the instruments. Shout out to the sync on Your Lost Little Girl.
Sure that you know what to do.
Love Me Two Times has an instantly recognizable guitar riff. Unhappy Girl sounds like any modern indie rock song with its atmospheric development.
Unhappy girl.
They were truly ahead of their time. Horse Latitudes is a short sound collage with Morrison making a pastor-style speech. Wonder if they'll keep doing that second thing. It transitions into Moonlight Drive, a beautiful song, and it was actually the first song Jim demonstrated to Ray when they met. The biggest song from this album, People Are Strange, carries the metaphorical torch of Doors songs having both organ and piano in the same song.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. No one remembers your name when you're strange. When you're strange. When you're strange.
Well, what'd you think of that one?
There was a nice guitar part in there, and yeah, People Are Strange.
Yeah, it's a good song, yeah.
Good song.
My Eyes Have Seen You has a great and recognizable bass line. I really enjoyed the marimba work on I Can't See Your Face in My Mind. When the Music's Over is another song that ends the album that is over 11 minutes long, but is nothing like the end. It is much more upbeat until one by one the instruments fade out until it's just Jim's voice, and then the song launches into a great guitar solo by Robbie Krieger. Overall, Strange Days is an album that is, in my opinion, even better than The Doors, and is my favorite album in The Doors' discography. Considering how soon after The Doors this one came out, this is amazing, and The Doors should get praise for their incredible work ethic. Strange Days was released on September 25th, 1967, to once again rave reviews from critics and fans, and the singles Love Me Two Times, People Are Strange, and a single edit of When the Music's Over received heavy airplay. The Doors played a few shows around the States. One of these shows was in New Haven, Connecticut. Jim was kissing a fan in the dressing room shower before the show. A policeman acting as a security guard who was unaware that he was talking with the Jim Morrison, who was going to perform on stage in mere minutes, confronted Jim with a can of mace, and when Jim refused to comply with the officer's request to stop doing what they were doing and evacuate the premises, he maced Jim and the girl, who ran off crying. Jim took an hour to recover, and when the Doors finally played, the audience erupted with enthusiasm. The positivity didn't last long because during When the Music's Over, Jim once again diverged from the normal lyrics and started talking about a funny little man in a blue suit. Once again, this recounting had a lot of cursing throughout it, and then he made fun of the police officers who were surrounding the stage, guarding the members of the band. Then, when the music was over, Jim was arrested on stage, but not before he shoved a microphone in the face of an officer and told him to
Say your thing, man. Mr. Morrison, you've gone too far. The show's over. You violated state absurdity laws. Under arrest. There you go.
He was dragged off stage, and the fans at the concert broke into rioting. Jim was arrested on counts of inciting a riot, indecency, and public obscenity. They didn't find enough evidence and the charges were dropped, and boy do I wish I could say this was the worst thing that ever happened at one of their performances, but it's not. I will explain what that means later. Have you heard Strange Days?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just listened to it a couple days ago.
Oh, yeah, we did. So, my favorite song is When the Music's Over. What's yours?
I guess I'll go with People Are Strange. Super catchy. It has a, certain, it's simultaneously downbeat, but also kind of like tongue-in-cheek, kind of like, not 100% sincere, but I don't know. It's just an odd song and I like it, and it has the one of the words of the album title and its title.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the title track, of course. That's Strange Days, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting little song.
It is an interesting song. What do you think about Strange Days as an album?
Not as good as their first one, but pretty good. You know, if the first one's like a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5, this one's probably a good 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's not weak by any means. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Wait until the war is over and we're both a little older.
So after this incident, Jim took a bit of time to himself. He wrote a few songs, got a new girlfriend, Alcohol, and took his songs to the rest of the band, who were supportive with these new songs. These songs would revolve more around the acoustic guitar. The Doors took to the studio and recorded Waiting for the Sun in April of 1968. As for the actual songs, Hello I Love You sounds louder and more distorted than usual, but still has Jim's usual poetry. It is a bit of a Kinks ripoff, but hey, I'd be a Kinks ripoff if I could. Love Street is so different from 99% of other Doors songs. Not to Touch the Earth makes use of minor seconds, has a great story arc, and the musical arc fits it perfectly. And at the end he says he is the Lizard King and that he can do anything. Summer's Almost Gone captures the feeling of the approaching school year and the anxiety of not knowing what to do. I know it's not about that. At the end, it says Winter's Coming, which sets the scene for Wintertime Love, which is an energetic contrast to Summer's Almost Gone. The Caravan finally showcases Robbie Krieger's skills as an acoustic guitarist. My Wild Love features a cappella and finger snaps, and it sounds like a bar sing-along. We Could Be So Good Together is a song. This is the first Doors song that doesn't stand out to me in any way. That doesn't mean it's bad, it just doesn't stand out. Yes, The River Knows is a quieter and jazzier song featuring the guitar, and it reminds me of King Crimson, and it ends on a Picardy third. Side note, for non-musicians, a Picardy third is when the song that is in a minor key ends on a major third instead of the minor third. 5-1 begins and ends with saying Love My Girl, but what's in the bulk of the song in between is what matters. It is another anti-war song and has an impressive guitar solo, and it says come together. Right now, over me? No? Whatever. It's a fine album. I like the mainly acoustic feel of it, and the anti-war messages are very present. That makes it good, at least in my opinion. Waiting for the Sun was released on July 3rd, 1968, to overwhelmingly positive reception from fans, even getting to number 1 on the Billboard 200 for 4 weeks in a row. But critics weren't digging it. Yeah, at the time, reviews were more mixed than your mom's vegetables on a weeknight.
Todd, would you like some mixed vegetables?
Hell no.
What did you say?
I said I don't want any damn vegetables.
Critics cited that Jim's self-indulgence was missing, and apparently that's a bad thing? I, for one, am happy to see that even in the horrible place he's in, Jim isn't taking himself too seriously. The Unknown Soldier and How I Love You were released as singles, and they went on tour in the US and Canada. They even played a few dates in Europe. During one of these concerts, Jim passed out on stage due to being intoxicated with weed, hash, and several pills. But that still isn't their worst concert. No, this dishonor goes to the concert they played on March 1st, 1969, in Coconut Grove, Florida, at the Dinner Key Auditorium. Here is a rapid-fire list of everything wrong with this performance. No air conditioning, Morrison was drunk, like insanely. 12,000 fans were packed into a space designed to hold 7,000. Jim screaming,
Adolf Hitler is alive and well and living in Miami.
What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it?
repeatedly. Jim telling everyone to take off their clothes, to which a lot of people surprisingly obeyed. Jim taking off his shirt and holding it in front of his
Special area.
and making repeated motions. Jim allegedly, probably not truly, showing his
Special area.
to everyone in the crowd. Jim pretending to suck off Robbie. Yeah, so he was arrested. The Miami court gave him a plea bargain to perform a free concert, to which he idiotically said no. He asked for an appeal to his 6-month sentencing and remained pending until the day he died. The craziest thing to me is that the members of the Doors are perfectly fine with what he did that night, or at the very least put up with it. Well, it just goes to show you what the things you have to deal with if you're in a band. Have you heard Waiting for the Sun?
Yes, but it's been a long time. Probably since I was in 10th grade or something.
That's a while back.
Yeah, it's circa 1980.
Oh, okay.
Certainly have heard Hello, I Love You and The Unknown Soldier.
Well, my favorite song is Yes, the River Knows.
I don't know that song.
What's your favorite song on this one?
I don't know. It might be 5-1. Might be The Unknown Soldier.
The two anti-war ones. Okay.
Yeah. Not the. I mean, I don't dislike Hello, I Love You, but it's kind of a thing that they stole from the Kinks. But who knows where the Kinks stole the melody? So
yeah,
I guess I shouldn't hold it against them. But I don't know. Hello, I Love You. Actually, maybe I should say that after all. Maybe I should just totally waffle and say, yeah, that's the best song, my favorite. It's I like the lyrics, I guess.
I will say, as a musician, it's actually really common to go from the root note to the minor seventh to the minor third and back to the root note. It's a very like it's a Mixolydian feel that also feels very rooted and circular.
Yeah, kind of like the drums and I don't know what Manzarek's playing, but it's kind of got that Hammond or whatever it is.
I think it might be a Vox Continental, probably.
Okay. All right, so yeah, that's the one I'll go with.
Waiting for the Sun. What do you think about it as an album?
Well, as critics sometimes say about bands, there's a third album syndrome. It's like a lot of bands will have 2 albums worth of songs written, and then when you get to the third one, you've been touring and you're busy and you've kind of used up your best songs. And it's like, oh, now what? So it's kind of like that. It's kind of a 3-star out of 5 for me.
Yeah, I can see where the critics are coming from, because Waiting for the Sun, just it's a step down in like quality from the first 2, and especially since all of the songs were written around the same time for them, and they recorded them in the same year, and it's like it's a very different feel, and it's a bit jarring to anyone who's heard the first 2 albums. I know it was for me. So
yeah, I don't know. Nowadays, bands typically take 2 or 3 years between albums, or a lot of them do. So I don't know if that has anything to, if that's a thing anymore, a third album thing. But anywho, there you go.
So what were people doing in 1968? Experimenting. A lot of it. The Beatles had released their self-titled White Album. Pink Floyd had released A Saucer Full of Secrets. Jimi Hendrix and his Experience had released Electric Ladyland. Everyone was breaking from the confines of pop. Heck, the year-end best song of 1968, Hey Jude, is still, to this day, the longest year-end #1 song. What was the Doors' take on experimental music? Orchestra, of course. There are a lot of horns and strings on this album, and it has this big band and swinger feel to it, like is in Frank Sinatra, Perry Como, and Bing Crosby. Tell the People right away starts with horns, and the new sound fits well and reminds me of Pink Floyd's Animal Heart Mother. Touch Me immediately grabs you and refuses to let up. It is a very engaging song with its strings and its saxophone solo, only to end on the famous Stronger Than Dirt line. Shaman's Blues builds very slowly with its 6/4 groove. Do It focuses less on singing and lyricism and more on harmonic development of the other instruments. I like Easy Ride because it's more upbeat than every other song on the album. Wild Child is another psychedelic slow song with Jim reciting his usual poetry, even briefly switching to spoken word. Runnin' Blue is no doubt a tribute to Otis Redding, who died almost 2 years prior. It reintroduces the horns and contains a country music pastiche. Wishful Sinful has more strings and is the first outright love song from the Doors in a while. The Soft Parade is yet another long song that ends the album. It begins with Jim shouting like a priest about petitioning the Lord with prayer. It begins with a solo guitar, it then picks up the tempo, and it goes through many parts before finding its main groove. Then it gets deceptively silly until you look at the lyrics, once again giving acid trip instructions. Oh Jim, never change. It also mentions a snake once again. This album is fun, there's no other way to describe it, at least for me. The Soft Parade was released on July 21st of 1969. This album got mixed reviews from critics and was divisive among fans, as some preferred their raw, under-arranged sound. Touch Me, Wishful Sinful, Tell the People, and Runnin' Blue were all released as singles. They promoted this album by touring, they played in the US, Canada, and Mexico. They even brought the orchestra on the road a few times. With all the success, It would seem hard to believe that the Doors were crumbling as a group, and Jim even wanted to leave, but Ray persuaded him to stay. Have you heard the Soft Parade?
Again, yeah, probably back in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
As I've said a lot of times about how local radio station LAV would play 6 albums every Saturday night, then it would be, a variety of things, and you probably heard the Doors sometime at 3 a.m. or something. I mean, the Soft Parade album.
Mm-hmm. So, my favorite song of this album is Tell All the People. What's yours?
For me, it's definitely between the first 2 songs, Tell All the People and Touch Me, and they're both, kind of songs that tell anecdotes about, like, oh, tell all the people I told you about how Jim Morrison wanted nothing to do with that lyric about grab your guns. And of course, Touch Me happened after he was arrested for indecent exposure. So it's kind of a cringe.
And Touch Me has that one line at the end of the song.
Stronger than dirt.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it's from a laundry detergent commercial. So, boy, I don't know. It's really tough to choose. I guess I like Touch Me because of the, I don't know, it's not a marching band, but what is it, an orchestra?
I think it's a big band style band. That's what it is. Big
All
band,
right.
because there's a lot of horns and very few strings, and there's also like a jazz drumming sort of feel to it. It's like a swing, a big band swing inspired thing.
Yeah, I like the ending of it, how it, builds a la
with the saxophone
Sgt.
solo.
Pepper, ending, and then instead of the amazing 5 pianos or whatever playing the same note, it's like Stronger Than Dirt. So
yes, and of course there's that saxophone solo. That's a pretty cool thing. And this is like, what Chicago sound would kind of be like. And this came out a few months before Chicago's debut album. Speaking of which, listeners, I will be doing a examination on them in the future, hopefully, if the wheel lets me. So,
Yeah, it's to be hoped.
I mean, they have a lot of albums. They just released an album this year. It's called Born for This Moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So Soft Parade, it's about the same as Waiting for the Sun, I think, in my opinion. 3 out of 5.
From July to November 1969, the band largely took a break from touring and being with each other in general. Jim wrote some more songs. These ones would be a step back in scope from the Soft Parade and be bluesy, raw, and human. The band went to Electro Sound Studios in LA to record, and while they were doing so, they took a break and went to Phoenix to see a Rolling Stones concert. A stewardess misinterpreted Jim making a move on her as a skyjacking attempt and pressed charges, which she almost immediately revoked. They wrapped up recording in 1970, and around this time, Jim recorded some spoken word poetry to a tape and left it on the studio shelves. By the time Morrison Hotel was completed, the album had cost $86,000 to make, which is like $656,771 in today's money. Get ready, for this is one of their most consistently good track lists. Open to Roadhouse Blues has the humanity and connectivity that no song before this one has. I particularly enjoyed the refrain of Roll Baby Roll. Wonder if they'll say that again. Waiting for the Sun would not be out of place on the album of the same title. Shout out to the way his voice glides between the notes on the line, "This is the strangest life I've ever known."
This is the strangest life I've ever known.
You Make Me Real continues the trend set by the first 2 songs of being piano-focused. It also says Roll Baby Roll as the refrain. Peace Frog is the first song on the album to have an organ. Going into this, I didn't know what to expect, and this is a very different song in general, balancing poetry about blood with a swinging and off-putting groove. And it features a second gapless transition on a Doors album, where it transitions into Blue Sunday, which is in noticeable contrast to Peace Frog because it is way more relaxed in nature. Ship of Fools is about getting away from everyone during the near extinction of humans. Land Ho is a song. It also has the line, "Skin that little girl alive." The Spy has piano, and the way Jim sings it sounds so convincing. Queen of the Highway has electric pianos. Well, that isn't common. Indian Summer has a similar vibe to the end, but is way shorter and less disturbing. Maggie McGill is human-sounding. Jim fully embraces his blues identity and even calls himself a blues man, and says he's been singing blues since the world began. Morrison Hotel was released on February 9th, 1970 to largely positive reception from fans and critics alike, and many thought it was a comeback record. You Make Me Real and Roadhouse Blues were released as singles. It received heavy airplay, and the band went on the Roadhouse Blues tour to promote it. It included a day at the Isle of Wight. This is their peak performance, no doubt, and it made it onto the 1970 live album, Absolutely Live. This tour was restricted to progressive cities because many cities in the Deep South banned the Doors from performing. The tour also ended with yet another episodic live performance in New Orleans. In this one, Jim threw his microphone into the stage floor repeatedly until both the floor and the mic were broken. Then he sat on the floor and refused to sing for the rest of the performance. Ray, Robbie, and John all agreed that it would be best for the band to stop performing, as all of them were sick of doing shows. Facing all kinds of negativity from everyone, they needed to prove themselves to the world once more. Have you heard Morrison Hotel?
Oh yeah, lots of times.
Alright then, seems like you would know what your favorite song is. Well, my favorite song, I don't know, a lot of the album wasn't really resonant for me, so yeah, I definitely gotta say Roadhouse Blues is my favorite song of the album.
Mm-hmm.
But, what's yours?
I have to say Roadhouse Blues is also my favorite. I have an affinity for it. It brings back, back in the days sort of thoughts, high school, etc. Peace Frog, I like. It's got a.
It's a song.
What year is this? 69?
No, this is 70.
70. Okay. I was just trying to think about it in terms of the MC5 with their political sort of songs, and this one says "Blood on the Streets, the Town of Chicago," right?
Yes. However,
it's after the so-called riot at the Democratic convention.
Yes.
In '68.
It's inspired by that, but it's also inspired by the time when he was driving with his grandparents and saw the natives dead on the road.
Oh right, there's the
Indians. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he claims that he was there driving and they were running around. Their souls were after they had died, and 2 Indians jumped into his soul.
Oh, not just one?
Yeah.
2 for the price of 1.
2,
wow.
I know.
Okay. Double up there, Jimbo.
And do you know about the story about the album cover?
Yeah, they had to quickly take the picture because they weren't given permission to.
Yep.
Yeah. The front, that cover, Morrison Hotel. What about the other side? Was that not a problem? Hard Rock Cafe?
I don't know. I've never seen the back cover because I just listened to this on Spotify with the lyrics going. I didn't see the back
Google
cover.
is your friend. You'll have to Google it and see the other side.
I'll look it up. I'll write it into the script or something like that. But
all right.
And what do you think about Morrison Hotel as a?
Well, despite what you think, critics and myself think it's better than the previous 2. So it's like 3.5.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
3.5.
There you go. The Doors set up in their own workshop in Los Angeles and began working on their ultimate album. This one would be a musical statement and would pull from all sorts of genres, but mainly focusing on blues. Also, Jim Morrison finally cleaned up his alcoholism and his drug abuse, so he could give this album his all. The band got along with each other fairly well during these sessions, unlike on Morrison Hotel and The Soft Parade, but you know who didn't get along very well? The producer, Paul Rothchild. He left during the recording of Love Her Madly because it resembled lounge music. And boy, that is the least insulting insult I have ever heard. If my music got called lounge music, I'd be really happy. Wow, my music is inoffensive enough to be played in a lounge, thanks! The Changeling once again leaves space for harmonic development. The aforementioned Love Her Madly's organ lick steals from Carol of the Bells, and it's perfect. Bend Down So Long and Cars Hiss By My Window are purely a blues. Also, Where Keyboard? The latter song has a vocal solo where Jim's voice sounds like a guitar. The title track picks up the tempo, and I can't say enough about how good the song is, blending their usual psych and blues sounds with this new growly vocal technique and the darker style. La America teases the F-bomb despite having said it on their first album. Hyacinth House references the song that dropped the F-bomb. Crawling King Snake is yet another song that references a snake. The Wasp is another one of those songs I couldn't tell you enough about how good it is, so my dad will instead. Riders on the Storm has a great guitar solo and even better keyboard solo. It is a cool atmospheric piece with the thunder and rain sounds. It's a perfect song. It also utilizes word painting with the Rhodes piano sound.
And here's the rain part.
Starting off with
Yeah, probably Riders on the Storm.
Riders on the Storm.
Okay.
I like the solo.
They have a good guitarist. Pretty soon it's going to be a good keyboard solo, so... I know. I gotta say it's a good keyboard sound.
I like how I
Well, how's that?
that was a nice song.
Yeah.
It's unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not many artists in the 70s or 60s or whatever did this sort of thing. Alright, we're done? Yeah. So yeah, this album is great. It does exactly what it presents itself as and so much more. On March 13th of 1971, Jim took a break during the final mixing of the album to move to Paris, France with his girlfriend Pamela Corson. The rest of the group released LA Woman on April 19th, 1971. They also released Love Her Madly and Riders on the Storm as singles, and the title track and The Wasp received heavy airplay as well. I hope this doesn't affect your opinion of this album, but on July 3rd of that same year, he was found dead in the bathtub of his Paris apartment by Pam. His death was attributed to heart failure. He also died at age 27, joining Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis Joplin in the so-called 27 Club of musicians and artists who died at age 27 that would grow bigger in years to come, with artists like Kurt Cobain and Amy Winehouse. Jim was buried in the Poets' Corner of the Père Lachaise Cemetery on July 7th. It seemed like it was all but over for the Doors. Naturally, it was actually anything but over, as the other members almost immediately started working on another album. So, have you heard LA Woman?
Oh yes, many times.
Alright, my favorite song is Riders on the Storm.
Mm-hmm.
What's yours?
Well, it would probably be between LA Woman and The Wasp.
Mm-hmm.
So, LA Woman, still played ad nauseum on classic rock stations, on radio to this very day.
Mm-hmm.
The Wasp, on the other hand, when I was in high school, I'd hear it quite a bit. But nowadays, I swear I haven't heard it in probably 20 years or more on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think LA Woman's the better song. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just iconic driving music.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite though is The Wasp. It's just a weird song with weird lyrics. It's getting all poetic again, and out here we is stoned, immaculate, that kind of stuff. Just a funny song.
Yes.
I like it.
I do like in one of these songs, he teases the F-bomb as if he didn't drop it several times on their debut.
Yeah. I mean, Riders on the Storm is great too. It's the vocals. It's almost like, I don't know, not to be too morbid, but it's almost like he's singing from beyond the grave. It's crazy.
You want to know what's interesting about that?
What's that?
In the song, he sings it, and he also whispers it in a different take.
I think I just read that because
Yeah.
I was looking into it. I was doing my research for this interview.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I like the new growly vocal technique that he has on this album. And it's just not, it's nothing like his vocal technique on the first album. So
Yeah, he's. I don't know if if I could tell one of the blues songs from another blues song. But
Yes, because Bend Down So Long and Cars Hiss by My Window are very similar. They're in the same key and the same chords. This one is just a solo guitar in his voice. This one is like the full band.
What about Crawling King Snake?
It's another one of those trippy songs that are about snakes. So, name a few.
Yep, indeed. The S in Doors should have been a snake.
Yes.
Ah, well.
That font.
Yeah.
That font on the title.
Yeah.
You know that one.
It's the same font as...
Pet Sounds.
Pet Sounds? Is it also the same as...
Black Keys Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also Jack's Films uses that font all the time.
What font is that, Rick?
I don't know. I'm gonna show the font on screen right now with the motion graphics. I'm gonna show the name of it and it's gonna be in the font. So, yeah, it's iconic. Everyone uses it. Obviously.
Oh, and I never liked Lover Madly.
Obviously. Oh yeah,
it was the big single, but before I started listening to classic rock or what was then AOR, album oriented radio or rock, I would hear this on another station. That's the only song, the only Doors song they would play was Lover Madly. It's like, okay, I've had enough of that. Thank you very much.
Yes. So, what do you think about LA Woman as a whole album?
It's their second best album.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Debute's the best. This one's the second best. This is strong, 4 out of 5. Very good.
Why did the band even keep making music after Jim died? Was this some sick move, eager to capitalize on renewed interest following Jim's death? No, you see, their contract they had signed with Elektra was a 7-album contract. Only 5 albums out of the 7 had been fulfilled, so they set up in the studio once again to record an album. So, this is a record without Jim Morrison. One could argue that he was a controlling force and the creative expressions of the other members were limited by him, to which I say yes, but all the creative power and lyrics and everything came from him, so without this poetic and spiritual singer, the band are at a loss for originality and creativity. Side note, the band considered bringing in Paul McCartney and Iggy Pop to the band to be on bass and vocals, but both refused, leaving the group to be just a trio. So how well do the other voices work? In The Eye of the Sun is right away a weak opener. Raymond Zarek does not work particularly well as a lead vocalist. On Variety is the Spice of Life, Robbie works even less as a lead vocalist. Ships with Sails is a fine song. Robbie Ray and even John show off their talents on this track. Tightrope Ride is actually a really good song. The lyrics talk about Jim Morrison and his problems, even name-dropping Brian Jones, who died exactly 3 years before Jim did. Down on the Farm is just weird. It starts out relaxed and gradually picks up until the end of the chorus, and then immediately slows down to return to the same energy. I'm Horny, I'm Stoned is a stupid song. Don't listen to it, you will get dumber. Wandering Musician is another fine song where Ray works well as a singer. Hang On to Your Life has a more tribal feeling to it until the tempo picks way the hell up about 2/3 in. It's the most unique song on this album for sure. Other Voices was released on October 18th, 1971 to lukewarm responses commercially and critically. Tightrope Ride was released as a single and received some airplay. It was pushed hard by Warner Music, who needed a good Doors single. The trio went on tour with dates in the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, France, the Netherlands, Denmark, Switzerland, and Belgium. It really makes you think. They worked really hard to make sure that everyone knew that the Doors were not done. Too bad hardly anyone knows this album exists. Even some Doors fans don't know that this or any of the albums after it exists. But they dusted themselves off, and they tried again. Have you heard Other Voices?
Literally one time, like within a year ago, on purpose. It's like, okay. It's kind of like I assigned it to myself. It's like, okay, I'm going to listen to this. And I did, and I don't remember anything about it.
Yep. So
it's forgettable.
Yeah, my favorite song in this one is Tightrope Ride, and you probably don't have a favorite song if you can't remember all of them, but...
I don't remember any of them. I mean, they have titles that...
They have titles.
Other songs, like Hang On to Your Life is kind of like a Guess Who song, and that was a good song, but I have no idea if this is any good because, again, I mean, I don't know. Here's a question for you: which of the two guys is a better singer, Ravi or Ray?
It's definitely Raven Zarek. He's definitely a better singer than Ravi, but it's just not. It's not Jim. Is basically what my biggest problem with this album is that it's not Jim's voice, and I feel like songs like "Ships with Sails" and "Down on the Farm" and "I'm Horny, I'm Stoned" would have been better if it had been Jim singing.
Now I can't remember specifically which song, but I do remember, listening to it and thinking, "Wow, this isn't too bad." But
probably "Tyrope Ride."
Yeah, probably.
It was the biggest single from this album. Warner Group pushed this. It got on Superstars of the 70s compilation. It was,
I know that the record company is always, about the sales.
Yeah.
But it almost seemed like it would have been a better idea to get a new vocalist, somebody that nobody ever knew, and then change the name of the band, to something totally different. Because, if they can still write the songs and play the music, it'd probably be better just to try to leave that behind.
Yeah, to leave doors behind. And they made this album the same year as Ali Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting there. But, so what do you think about Other Voices as an album, since you've heard it?
Like I said, I don't remember a thing about it, but looking at the cover, they should have had more space in there between them to signify, and maybe done a little, of course, it's, way before Photoshop, but as they said back in the day, a little retouching to make it almost seem like the silhouette of Jim,
Yeah.
in there. But lost opportunity.
Yeah. Robbie Krieger, Raymond Zarek, and John Densmore were all sick of being the Doors. As for this next album, they didn't give two fucks about what people thought, just that this made those greedy bastards at Elektra happy. And after listening to this, boy, do they really not care what people think. Unfortunately, this album is mostly inoffensive sing-along dance pop, and the lyrics to the songs Get Up and Dance, 4 Billion Souls, Hardwood Floor, Good Rockin', and It Slipped My Mind come off as incoherent gibberish. The Mosquito is a stupid song. Don't listen to it, you will get dumber. Even with its freebirding, it's stupid. The Peking King and the New York Queen is something I can't describe myself. You should look at the lyrics as you listen to the song. It's absurd and weird, but listen to it for yourself. I'm serious. The only somewhat good songs on here are the Vertilac and the Piano Bird, and I especially enjoyed the use of flute on the latter. Full Circle was released on July 17, 1972 to virtually no response either commercially or critically. The single The Mosquito received little to no airplay, and the band broke up. Good thing I don't have to end this video on a low note, because... So yeah.
Here we go.
Yep, this is an interesting album. Have you heard Full Circle?
No, I did not assign that to myself, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Well, I did.
Yeah, you did. Was it better than
No.
Other
No,
Voices?
it was not.
Really?
This one is just a bunch of inoffensive gospel and folk and soul-inspired pop that's like sing-along almost, but I shouldn't say that as a bad thing because sing-along pop can be good, but this is not. And songs like Get Up and Dance, 4 Billion Souls, Hardwood Floor, I think It Slipped My Mind, and then this song especially. This one isn't sing-along, but it's still not that great. Not a lot of these songs are like, can
you imagine a modern group doing a cover of any of them, like BTS doing something?
If they did a cover of The Mosquito, for example,
yeah,
that'd be really funny because The Mosquito is a really stupid song, and it's just if you heard it.
All right, I'm gonna listen to it.
Yeah.
Not now, but later.
Now, Vertilac and the Piano Bird are two really good songs that seem out of place on this album, but yeah, I like those two songs a lot because they're different from what the Doors usually do, and they're good at telling stories, and they're just good songs in general. But, you know.
Okay, well, maybe I'll listen to those three.
Yeah. So, yeah. Piano Bird and Vertilek, and you should also listen to The Mosquito because it's an interesting song.
Okay, alright, I'll give them a listen.
So, what do you think about Full Circle as a whole?
I have never listened to any of it, so I cannot have any sort of valid opinion.
Not even an out of 5. Okay.
No, nothing. I got no.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't listened to it. I have no idea. It could be the greatest thing ever once I listen to it.
It's a cool album cover, though.
I bet on it, but yeah. Okay, it's got a lot going on there. A lot of mythology and whatnot. And what do you call it? Mobius or something?
Yeah, something like the title on top is Mobius strip. Yeah.
So it's kind of okay. Well, anyway.
John Densmore and Robbie Krieger formed the Butts Band, released one album together, and broke up in 1975. Raymond Zarek made 2 solo albums in 1974. Jim Morrison's girlfriend died of a heroin overdose in 1974, and then Ray formed the band with Noah James and future Blondie member Nigel Harrison called Night City. The band released one album in 1977, one in 1978, and broke up after. Robbie Krieger released a solo album in 1978, but there were still a few recordings gathering dust of Jim reciting his poetry. What would they do with them? Well, after the public began taking a greater interest in the Doors once more, the trio reunited in 1978 to record music once more, this time with Jim's spoken word poetry played over it. This album is comprised of spoken word poetry by Jim Morrison, played over instrumentals recorded by the Doors. And this album is exactly what you think an album with Jim Morrison reciting his spoken poetry set to late 70s music recorded by the surviving members of the Doors would sound like. Awake is an opener. It is neither good nor bad. On songs like Ghost Song, Black Polished Chrome, Curses and Vacations, and the title track, the instrumental is good, the poetry is good too, but they don't go together. Dawn's Highway is a recording of Jim reading a poem retelling the highway incident. Newborn Awakening finally makes Peace Frog make sense. To Come of Age as another solo Jim recording. On Latino Chrome, the instrumental kind of matches Angels and Sailors. It starts with poetry and then it has Jim singing and then more poetry, read by Jim alongside a solo guitar before more singing happens. Stone Immaculate reprises Wasp, Texas Radio. In the movie, Jim predicts what a movie about the Doors would be like. And boy did he get it right. American Night is another short and spoken word track. Roadhouse Blues appears here. It's a live performance, and hearing this is a nice palate cleanser. But why is it not here? Hell if I know. He also disses astrology at the end, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right, baby. I am a Sagittarius, the most philosophical of all the signs. But anyway, I don't believe in it. I think it's a bunch of bullshit, myself.
The World on Fire is poetry over a screaming audience. Lament is a lament. This is a rare time where the instrumental goes very well with the poetry being read. The Hitchhiker expands on the story of Riders on the Storm, with the song playing while Jim is reciting his dialogue-driven story. An American Prayer references other songs in the album. Hour for Magic has synthesizers and vibes similar to that of The End. Freedom Exists is yet another solo reading. A Feast of Friends is good poetry and reminds me of Shine On You Crazy Diamond Part 9 with its synthesizer. Babylon Fading is cool with its imagery, with its sound collage, even having the same chaining for football as the Beatles' Revolution 9.
Football.
Bird of Prey is just solo singing by Jim. The Ghost Song, not Ghost Song, reprises Ghost Song, and goes on for longer and ties up the album perfectly, with a fake ending, and ends for real with more solo poetry ending the album and the Doors' discography. An American Prayer was released on November 17, 1978. It sold quite a few copies through promotion alone and a concert the trio played in France. Critics, however, hated this one, calling it a cash grab and claiming that Jim would be very unhappy to know this is what the surviving members did with his recordings. Have you heard An American Prayer?
Not in its entirety, but when it was released, it was something that LAV, the Grand Rapids AOR station, would, play something from, but God only knows what it was. It's probably Dawn's Highway, if I had to guess.
Yeah. So,
It's him. It's him speaking.
Yes.
And Doors music behind him.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some of the backing stuff is like, I don't know, like on Ghost Song. Mm-hmm. It's like there's like slap bass and stuff like that in the background, and doesn't really fit the Doors sound or the poetry being read.
Other than that, it's great.
And it's like I like how the songs transition into each other. That's pretty cool. Obviously songs like Curses, Invocations, American Night. My favorite song on this one is The Hitchhiker. This one has Riders on the Storm playing in the background while Jim reads his poetry about the hitchhiker.
Oh, okay.
It's actually pretty good. There's a live version of Roadhouse Blues on here.
It's actual singing and playing?
Yeah.
Just to keep you on your toes, I guess.
I believe there's a song that reprises Peace Frog.
Okay.
It's one of these. Could be Dawn's Highway, something like that. But, I'm sure you don't have an opinion on this album, but, it's...
No.
It's interesting.
I can't even give an opinion about why they did it.
It's weird because it's like, I think it came out during their I don't know what the term is, but basically they came back into fashion, so to speak, for a while. Yeah, it's a weird place. It's a weird place in the Doors discography because it has Jim on it, and his soul and his voice is very present on this record, but it's not,
Yeah. It's more of a collaboration than a Doors thing. It's like, hey, Jim Morrison and the Doors, rather than the Doors.
Yeah, look, it says, it has...
Yeah, it's got him credited, comma...
Some of them just have him in the song credits, so, it's...
Well, I suppose if I won't even go there. I'll just say, there's a certain frame of mind a person might want to be in before listening to this stuff.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Also, you see the title of this song?
Yes.
There's Ghost Song and The Ghost Song. They have the same instrumental and the same poetry being read on top of it, but it's put at different parts of the album. This is a good thing in its own right, but it's obviously not as good as like LA Woman or Strange Days or The Doors. It just is.
It's not the place to start your Doors journey.
No.
It would be
Here's what each member did after the Doors' final breakup. Robbie Krieger joined the band Redshift, released 2 albums with them, one in 1979 and one in 1980. Then he released solo albums in 1982, 1985, 1989, 2000, 2010, and 2020. In 2002, he joined with Ray Manzarek as the Doors of the 21st Century. Jim Morrison's estate was unhappy with this, and so was John Densmore, so they toured together as Manzarek Krieger until 2013. Robbie guested in several TV shows and made guest appearances on albums throughout the 2010s. Ray Manzarek joined the band X, released 1 album with them in 1978, then quit. He joined Echo and the Bunnymen and released 1 album with them in 1987, then he quit. He did an album with Michael McClure in 1993, appeared on The Doors' Myth of Reality, The Spoken Word History in 1996, did an album with Darryl Red in 1999, and joined the aforementioned Manzarek Krieger in 2002. did an album with Roy Rogers in 2008, a song with Weird Al in 2009, 2 more albums with Roy Rogers in 2011 and 2013, and continued touring with Robbie Krieger until Ray's death in 2013. John Densmore did pretty much nothing musically outside the Doors, but he became known for not letting companies use Doors songs to sell their products. The one time he did, he claimed he was haunted by Jim, who kept telling him to donate money to charity, which he did. He also stated that he would never play live with the Doors again unless it would be Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam fame on vocals. God, wouldn't that be crazy? Overall, the Doors are really good. Their music from way back in the 60s still holds up today, and they are like my 10th favorite band, and they are one of the best musical acts of all time. The Doors got their own feature film in 1991 with actors playing them, and the acting is really good in this movie. Even if you're not a huge fan of the Doors, check out this movie. It's a good one. I also lifted a lot of footage from the movie for this video. The Doors were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993, and they gave a performance with, you guessed it, Eddie Vedder on vocals. God, that's crazy. I can hardly even imagine. What do you think about the Doors as a band?
As a band, okay. I think, like I said about Morrison, I think they're an important part of rock and roll / popular music history. They capture a certain era, moment in time, Los Angeles / California, late 60s. They were both catchy and also a little dangerous and a little thought-provoking. They definitely belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. When were they inducted?
I'm gonna have to check on that, and I'm gonna put it right on screen right now.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't remember, but yeah, they have a lot of great songs, and their music certainly gets played a lot on the radio, still to this day. And I have no idea how many people follow them on Spotify or anything. I don't pay attention to that stuff, but
Yep, here are their most popular songs on Spotify.
looks about right. I haven't been surprised yet. I guess I'm kind of surprised by Peace Frog being in there as one of the top 10 or whatever.
Yeah, as for their popularity, I'm gonna put on screen right now how many monthly listeners they have. Yeah, obviously they have several platinum albums. They're highly influential. They got referenced in The Simpsons.
I think that popular music would be a less interesting place without them, if they never existed.
Well, yeah, that definitely makes sense to me. It's the Doors. What's not to love? This concludes our interview. Back to you, other me. Love Me 2 Times was included in Guitar Hero World Tour. Break On Through was included in Rock Band 3, and Touch Me, The Crystal Ship, Roadhouse Blues, People Are Strange, Love Me 2 Times, Light My Fire, Hello I Love You, Soul Kitchen, Riders on the Storm, Peace Frog, Love Her Madly, and LA Woman were included as DLC for that same game. In Season 20, Episode 2 of Family Guy, the Doors got their own segment where Peter plays Jim Morrison, Brian plays Robbie Krieger, Quagmire plays Raymond Zarek, and Joe plays John Densmore. It's actually not that great. The jokes are good, but they fail to outweigh the inaccurate storytelling, whether it be on purpose or not. The Doors have a large presence on Instagram and TikTok, and they have a YouTube page, including this video where John Densmore gives a drum lesson. I'll roll that. And if you want to get into the Doors, definitely The Doors, LA Woman, and Strange Days are good albums to start with. If you like those, check out Morrison Hotel and The Soft Parade. In the description of this video, I link their main Spotify profile and a script for the video that you're watching right now. I also link my subreddit, r/vloghouse, and my Patreon too. Please consider donating if you like this video and would enjoy seeing a video like this but with better production quality. If you don't feel like giving money to a 72 subscriber 15-year-old nobody, then I will have to subscribe on your pressings of the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. I plan on doing more videos like this in the future, and I hope to see all 72 of you next time.